Hiro was a bum who became an orphan after a dragon barbecued his parents. Seeking revenge, he teamed up with a hot dragon slayer who was obsessed with him and clapped her to get strong enough to face the dragon. 10 years ago, a legendary dragon called Zot was wreaking havoc in the Three Kingdoms, so a group of mages, led by Hiro's father, Barrow, gathered at Baldago to seal it, but their plans failed and the dragon unalived everyone. In his last moments, Barrow cast a spell that swapped Hiro's heart with the dragon's, hoping that it would save Hiro's life. Years later, Hiro sets out on a journey of revenge, and he makes a quick stop at a city called Linsakis. Here, he sees the townsfolk celebrating a wealthy businessman named Nambu, who has just arrived in town looking for a legendary relic called the Grand Troa. While Nambu negotiates with the Lord, Hiro befriends a bunch of young burglars and learns that one of their friends is about to be executed for trying to steal the Grand Troa. Sharu, the girl who caught the thief, showcases the boy to everyone as she prepares for his execution. To their surprise, Hiro pulls up and orders her to let the thief go, but Sharu orders her men to seize him. At first, Hiro manages to avoid getting hit, but when he lunges through the men and unsheathes his short sword, he finds himself surrounded from all sides. Realizing his situation, he tries talking his way out of it, but Sharu orders the men to deal with him. Luckily for him, his friends Giru and Palupa show up, and with the army distracted, Tamit, the gang leader, rescues his friend. Annoyed, Sharu takes out the Grand Troa, but as soon as Hiro sees the relic, he yells that it belongs to his dad. Curious, Nambu silently observes Hiro, while Sharu uses the relic's power to fire an attack at Hiro's side. But to everyone's surprise, something protects them. That's when a creature starts emerging from the shadows, and everyone's shocked when they see that it's the feared dragon Zot. Seeing his nemesis that unalived his parents, Hiro gets enraged and recklessly tries to attack it, but the monster puts a lid on his efforts and knocks him unconscious. The soldiers immediately shoot at the dragon, but it repels the arrows and shocks everyone by protecting Hiro. Right after Zod wreaks havoc, he vanishes into the ground and dips in a shadowy form. Later, when Hiro wakes up at an inn, he notes that he'll need the Grand Troa's power to take Zot down. He then asks Tomit about Nambu's whereabouts, but since the dude doesn't know, he sets out to get any leads that will help him find the crystal. At some point, they try to get food at diners, but the shop owners shoo them away for opposing Nambu. Eventually, they run into Aaron, a Nekamimi who takes them to a place where they can stuff their tummies. While they eat, Aaron asks if Zot showed up because of Hiro, and it makes them realize that she might know something, so she dips and leaves, forcing them to cover her food bill. As a result, they use all their savings on the meal and are left stranded. Left with no other choice, Hiro takes them back to the hideout, where Tamit reluctantly lets them stay. Later, Tamit asks Hiro for his next plan, and he announces that he'll go after Nambu to retrieve the Grand Troa all by himself. Hiro tells him he's too weak to face off against roadside monsters, so Hiro's party heads out to train. Here, Hiro talks big about a group of slimes before him, but he gets humbled time and time again. Realizing how hopeless Hiro is, Giru goes to hunt monsters to trade for cash, leaving Palupa alone with Hiro. After missing his hits more than you losers miss your cheating ex. Emotional, damn it! Hiro complains about wanting to fight a stronger opponent. Suddenly, a dragon emerges from the sand, so Hiro charges at it to deliver a death blow, but he gets thrown back easily. The monster then opens its mouth, and a blue-haired girl comes out of it. She thanks the dragon like it's a taxi, and the dragon retreats into the sand. The girl then latches onto Hiro, hungry for his sausage, and like Willy Wonka, she tells him to come with her. Hiro is stunned by the strange girl sizing him up, and Palupa tells him to be wary of her, because she looks like the girls on TV his mom warned him about. Hiro asks her where he wants her to go, and like a popular line in one of Adele's singles, she said she'll go wherever he goes. He asks her who she is, and she introduces herself as Serato. Serato looks into his eyes and asks Hiro questions that almost make him suffer from an identity crisis. Thankfully, Giru shows up and interferes, asking Hiro who she is. After being briefed by Palupa, Giru wonders if he should take a swing at her, but Hiro stops him, and they watch as she acts like she's on the highest scale of autism. Silently, they creep out of her sight and return to the hideout before Hiro gets her pregnant. Later that noon, Hiro can't get Serato's image out of his head. Seeing how satisfied he is, Tamit snatches Hiro's food and teases him for being so down badly that he can't think straight. He then advises Hiro to keep his head straight and let Serato be. Meanwhile, Sharu shows the townsfolk a drawing of Hiro, asking if they've seen him. Since she has zero progress in finding him, she uses her Temu magic mirror. Meanwhile, Serato walks past her and goes deeper into the town. Nambu, on the other hand, instructs one of his allies to start a rumor about Zot's revival so that the people will look for ways to protect themselves. Next, he contacts another underling, asking for an increase in the production of magic stone and monitoring of weapons and armor's price increase. Lastly, he contacts Dr. Bafalapa, informing him of an impending war whereby all the kings of the 3 countries will struggle to get the most weapons. He asks the doctor to develop a new product so powerful that the countries will want it. After the call, the doctor wonders where Serato is and if she's okay. Later that night, Hiro and the rest of the team are surprised to see Serato at their hideout. She tells Hiro that she was able to find him thanks to her sausage indicator going off.
What do you mean by that?
Happy that she's attracted to his saber, Hiro chooses to let her stay. Tamit doesn't even bother, and they watch him drag Serato into the chamber to get his pickle tickled. The next day, Paloopa whines after being paid scraps for the monster Guru had brought, so Guru tells him he'll go hunting for more. Concerned, he asks about Hiro's whereabouts, and Paloopa tells him he's out with Serato. Meanwhile, Hiro tries to show off in front of Serato, but he gets folded by level 0 slimes. She asks him if he won or lost, and seeing that she's more clueless than Barbie in the real world, he takes a break and whines about how he wishes he could fight Zot right away. Suddenly, a wolf monster appears, so Hiro tries to recover his already plummeting aura points, but the wolf buries them even further. He then sees it growling at Serato, who had for no reason stopped responding while standing, so he runs at it to land a hit, and he gets shocked when he realizes that the wolf is already dead because he didn't do much to defeat it. But when he rushes over to meet Serato, he doesn't notice the shade of her eye change before they revert to normal. Since he's injured, she treats his wound before they head back to town, where Hiro trades the dead wolf for a gold coin. On his way to their hideout, he sees a boy whose dad has been selected to work in the mines. Watching as the youngster cries, Hiro, who clearly cannot do without sticking his nose in others' business, decides to intervene. He acts all cool and smug, stopping the guards from going with the man, but the guards knock him out and drag him off like trash. Held hostage at the town lord's manor, Hiro whines about the guards who took the first money he ever earned. Hiro then tries to assure the prisoners that he can get them out, but when they see the fake crest on his hand, their mood worsens. Meanwhile, as Sharu struggles for a better reception on her magic mirror, one of her guards informs her that Hiro is being held up in the lord's manor, so she quickly heads there. As for Tamit, he takes a hidden passage and navigates through the town lord's manor, while Hiro tries using the crest to make a hole in the prison walls. Tamit successfully steals the town lord's ledger, and having read the contents, he discovers the lord is stealing from the king, so he tries using it as leverage to get Hiro and the mine workers free. Suddenly, the local lord's guards show up, pulling an Uno reverse on Tamit. But Guru shows up. The guards try to attack him, but having witnessed how he split the table perfectly like a sashimi, they make a decision that'll spare them their limbs. In a few minutes, they free the men, and rather than Hiro being grateful, he tells them that he would have made a hole through the wall if he had more time. He then turns to his hottie and confirms her saber radar is functioning. Later that night, as they watch the prisoners reunite with their families, Hiro recalls the happy moments he had with his family, so he steals his resolve to take down Zot. Back in their hideout, Tamit watches them and sees the whole group as his family. Meanwhile, Eren silently observes them. At the healing spring, Sharu takes a dip and unwinds. Meanwhile, Yuru cooks a monster dish from the spoils of his hunt. While the others savor the dish, Hiro complains, so Paloopa scolds him for being an ingrate. Yuru then tells him that he'll be overseeing his training alone. Hiro tries to vouch for Serato, but Yuru refuses to let her accompany him. On their way to the training ground, Serato follows them, but Hiro hands her a gold coin and tells her to get whatever she wants with it. Left alone, Eren calls out to her and offers to take her somewhere good. Arriving at the training grounds, Hiro complains when he sees Guru wants him to fight the slimes again. As usual, the slime has him eat dirt, so he gets mad at Guru and requests that Guru leave, but Guru stubbornly refuses. Eren takes Serato to the healing springs and finds it difficult to converse with the oddball. She tells Serato to try out the healing spring, and the clueless girl casually walks in without taking off her plot armor. She sees Sharu there and concludes they should steer clear of her. Coincidentally, Paloopa and Tamit head for the hot springs after learning of an octopus monster with a huge bounty. On their way, Tamit sees Hiro arguing with Guru because Guru refuses to let him go and hunt for Zot. Hiro believes that they can make money on the way, and he can get stronger while fighting the monsters he comes across. Guru, on the other hand, gets candid with him by calling Hiro pathetic and reminding him that even 100 mages acting in concert couldn't defeat Zot. Guru admits that Hiro will need another power, but he hammers at him, saying he has no right to challenge Zot if he cannot master the basics. Offended, Hiro charges at him, but Guru swats him away like an annoying ad. He then reads Hiro like an open book, who thinks he'll be able to take down Zot with the Grand Troa. Determined, Hiro charges at Guru and aims at his throat. Instinctively, Guru slashes him. Upon seeing this, Tamit and Paloopa rush and scold Guru for making such a mistake. Guru then tells them he'll take Hiro to the healing springs, which is where they are also headed. At the springs, Eren tries to source info from Serato, but the dunce nearly mentions Hiro in every sentence she makes. Sharu, who happened to be listening in on them, approaches and tells them of the monster rumored to be lurking in the hot spring. Meanwhile, Sharu's guards stationed outside the springs lie in wait for Hiro's party, believing the false bounty poster will lure them. as expected. They see the party heading to the springs, so the soldiers quickly prepare for their roles. On getting to the spring, Hiro's wound heals in the water, and Sharu and Eren realize his party is around. Sharu then opens up to them that she's looking for Hiro. Like an elementary student, Serato announces that she knows him, but Eren quickly plunges her into the water. As the soldiers take their positions while waiting for Sharu's signal, Hiro wakes up and converses with the team. Hiro tells him that they need to make money so they can leave for Nambu, and on the way, he can fight monsters and get stronger. Sharu picks up Hiro's voice, so her men stir up the monster beneath the springs. Sharu then orders it to capture the men, but it grabs Serato. Seeing the trouble, Eren makes a run for it while Sharu yells at the monster to do its job. Tired of her bickering, it grabs Sharu and tosses her away. Realizing Serato is being held captive by the monster, Hiro brainstorms, but Giru leaps at the creature and cuts off its tentacles. He then vents his aggression on the giant creature, slicing and dicing it like it's sashimi. Right after, Hiro looks for Serato and sees her not too far, so he picks her up. In the process, she gives him a free house service, helping him cool his sausage. The party returns to the town, and Hiro stares at a cool armor, wishing he could get it. Palupa then explains that although the bounty was fake, they managed to sell the tentacles for a fortune. Seeing that they have cash, Hiro pesters Palupa like a youngster for the armor, but the miserly lizard rejects the idea. As Hiro and his crew leave the hideout, the orphans sulk because they won't get to enjoy Giru's delicacies again. The next morning, as the boys see Hiro and his crew off, Tomit shows up, determined to follow them on their quests. Worried, the orphans try to discourage him, but he assures them he'll be back after he uses the Grand Troa to change the world. The boys bawl their eyes out, but determined, Tomit follows Hiro. Right after leaving the town, they see Eren, who tells Hiro that Sharu had tried to lure him out to catch him at the spring. Surprised, Hiro realizes that Nambu is after them. Eren then offers to go with them, but Palupa refuses, since his wallet still suffers from the pain of being scammed. Eren then shows them a map that'll lead to where Nambu is and orders them to have her accompany them. Without second thoughts, Hiro agrees, and she joins the party, leading them to where she claims Nambu is. During their journey, they see a poster warning them about killer bears, but Hiro brushes it off, assuring and reminding them that Zot is the only thing they should be worried about. They watch him get too excited and wonder who made him the boss. As he tries to hurry them, he trips and falls into a sand trap, crashing every Sigma aura left in his body. The party then continues their journey, unknown to them that Nambu, who has their aerial coverage, observes them in his lair. Seeing that Sharu had failed to bring Hiro to him, he asks that she return to his lair. Like a forex investor, Nambu monitors the market of the magic stones and is impressed with the price hike. As the party journeys, Tomit is impressed by everything he sees. Due to not touching grass since he was born, Hiro teases him, acting like an experienced big brother. On getting to the forest, while trying to set up a camp, a monstrous bird charges at them. Hiro, trying to claim the spotlight, dashes at it to land a finisher, but he gets tossed aside like a used tissue. Giru lands a follow-up, saving Hiro from being picked up like a rabbit. After the help, the ingrate curses due to being saved again. Giru then tells the others that they'll camp in the forest. Spooked, Eren asks if it's okay since they are going into the bird's territory, but Giru assures them that the thick forest would prevent the bird from swooping in on them. After the breakdown, like a Nat Geo wild analyst, Hiro leads the way while promising them that he'll protect them from danger. Later in the forest while camping, Palupa educates Tomit on how to preserve food for future purposes. They watch as Hiro acts all smug like he owns the place, so they accept that he's a fraud with higher potentials than a popular Shikigami user. As they prepare to eat dinner, Giru notes that Serato, who he has sent to get water, isn't back, so Hiro goes looking for her. On the way, he runs into Eren playing harp on the tree, and she directs him to Serato. Before leaving, he asks her why she chose to embark on their journey, and she tells him she wants to help him get the Grand Troa. Seeing through her lies, he reminds her that the relic belonged to his father, so he makes a hypothetical situation, asking what she'd do with the relic if she got her hands on it. Eren then tells Hiro that she'll use it to make the hottest boy in the world, just like him. After hearing enough of Eren's bullcrap, Hiro leaves to find Serato. There, he sees her crouching next to the stream, so he calls out to her. The next day, Nambu continues his weapon sales to the country folks coming his way. While at it, Nambu learns of Sharu's arrival, so the first thing he does when he sees her is call her an incompetent loser. He then shows her the bird, which he uses to monitor Hiro's crew, and hands over the controls to her with the condition that she leave his sight if she fails to use it to capture Hiro. Immediately, she and her soldiers appear right before the party in the wilderness. Sharu then summons 3 humongous golems in the bid to capture Hiro. Right then, Giru prepares to attack, but Hiro informs them that he'll capture Sharu and have her take them to Nambu. With that, he dashes straight for Sharu, ignoring his teammates' advice. Determined, Sharu runs to him and zaps him with enough current needed to light up a city. As expected, Hiro falls like an oversized princess. Left with no choice, Giru orders the others to follow him, and as they run right behind him, Tomit notices that Eren is no longer with them. Giru then takes out the nearby soldiers, and as he draws closer to Hiro, one of the golems obstructs him. Annoyed, he leaps at it like the Hulk and takes it down in one stroke. Meanwhile, Hiro tries to take on Sheru, but she shoots multiple crystals at him, which eventually break his short sword. She points her umbrella at him and promises to make him feel the brunt of the frustration he's caused her so far. Meanwhile, the other weaklings in the team worry about how to escape their current situation, so Paloopa decides to help. He mans up and uses his limited Yu-Gi-Oh card to summon a treasure box, from which a strange girl, Mumu, leaps out. She asks him what kind of weapon he wants, but he tells her they are getting into the box. Quickly, he throws Serato in. Worried, Tomit asks about Hiro and Giru, but Paloopa tells him that things can work out as long as they survive. With that, he leaps into the treasure box with the boy, and the item magically disappears. On the other side of the battlefield, Sharu has Hiro surrounded with her soldiers, and she tells him that even though she's been tasked with capturing him, it wasn't specified for her to bring him in one piece. She then tries to attack him, but Giru rushes towards them. Annoyed, she sends a powerful attack his way, binding him and electrocuting the swordsman at the same time. The attack splits the earth and raises a part of its topography. Hiro yells at her to stop it, but she asks him if he'll let them catch him after watching Giru die, or if he'll watch Giru die after he lets them catch him. That's when it dawns on Hiro that she plans to end Giru. Sharu then pokes Hiro's arm with her umbrella as she laughs like a sadist, saying she wants to have fun with him while he's with her. She then assures him that things will get a lot worse for him once he gets to Nambu's lair. Suddenly, Hiro smacks her umbrella away, and he grows fangs and claws as if partially transforming into a dragon. She quickly orders her men at Hiro, but the lad rips through the men like a wet tissue. Horrified, Sharu immediately activates her teleportation circle, and she watches Hiro charging at her ragefully. Unfortunately, he returns to his senses, and it buys her enough time to make her escape. Right after, his actions replay in his mind, and after a while, he finds himself in a different location. Hiro wakes up to aching bones and wonders where he is. He then sees a group of carts moving through the wilderness, so he hides. When they get close enough, he spots Nambu, so he tries to get up, but his body doesn't respond like he wants it to. Suddenly, the earlier events flash across his mind, and he still decides to keep moving forward. After the fight, Paloopa, Serato, and Tomit are spawned back to the wilderness. There, they see Giru passed out. Worried, they rush to him, and Serato uses her magic to wake him up. Like a worried hen looking for its chick, she asks for Hiro's whereabouts, so Giru joins them to look for him. While searching, they discover the fallen bodies Hiro had taken out earlier. Hiro, on the other hand, follows Nambu's cart and sees him discussing with an important woman, a leader of one of the 3 countries. She asks him to proceed with the demonstration he has for her. Not too far away, a chained orc and 3 slaves are positioned right below a cliff. On top of the cliff, Bafalapa receives a signal from Nambu, so he activates a machine, which fires a magical beam of light at the orc and the slaves. Upon contact, the slaves fuse with the orcs, and the end product is a hideous monster that looks cuter than your girlfriend's. Damn! Terrified, the woman watches in fear as the creature charges at them, but Nambu's men take it down. Nambu then promises to make a much stronger army of monsters that'll terrify her neighboring countries. Impressed, she agrees, but to their surprise, Hiro shows up and confronts Nambu about how he just made human lives seem worthless. Nambu tells him it's none of his business, so Hiro asks him to repeat what he said after having a taste of his sword. As he reaches for his sword, he suddenly remembers he lost it and it broke during his battle with Sheru earlier. Not relenting, Hiro decides to take the fight the old-fashioned way, so he dashes at Nambu and hurls his fist at him. But the latter easily evades him. Hiro tries again, but Nambu whops him with his sheathed blade before telling him he was looking for him. Curious, Nambu asks Hiro if he has something to do with Zot's revival, but Hiro tells him to give him back the Grand Troa. Nambu insists the relic belongs to him, but Hiro adamantly resists. As a result, Nambu has his men restrict the dude and then tells him he'll attend one of his parties. Meanwhile, Hiro's squad wonders how Hiro had taken down the men since they all know he can't fight. They wonder if he used magic, but Paloopa rules out the possibility. Suddenly, they see Eren with them and call her a deserter. She corrects their notion with an excuse, saying she knows when it's time to leave. Giru then follows Hiro's footprints, and the rest of them do likewise. In the evening, Nambu entertains the queen of one of the 3 countries, noting that he simply needs her for her money to further his research. When he gets outside, he sees Sheru, who apologizes for failing to capture Hiro. She then explains how scary Hiro was, but to her surprise, Nambu thanks her for weakening him and then pays her some money. This makes her happy, so she tells him she loves him and her life belongs to him. Not too far away, Hiro's squad examines the hideous monster's corpse and wonders if Hiro was the one who ended it. After a thorough examination, Giru concludes that it was Nambu's doing, and Hiro has been caught. Meanwhile, Nambu goes to where he tied Hiro up and shows him the tools he plans to use to get information out of the boy. He asks Hiro about his relationship with Zot, and Hiro wonders what business a merchant like him has with the dragon. Nambu then reveals that he needs the chaos the dragon will bring because it'll mean more money for him. With that, Nambu uses the knife on Hiro, causing him to scream loudly, or so we thought. The coward of a neck wails so loudly before the blade touches his skin. The noise attracts the queen, and she makes a scene while trying to know what's going on. For this reason, Nambu leaves Hiro to attend to her. While at it, Hiro loosens the rope on his lei and successfully retrieves his crest stuck in his boot. He then tries to get it to cut the ropes binding his hand. Meanwhile, the mad scientist's Sarada radar goes off, so he uses one of his tools to find her. Fortunately, the device leads him to where Hiro is held captive. Confused, he asks Hiro why he has Sarado's scent, but the boy stutters like crazy as he tries to explain how she frequently hops on his sausage. After learning that Hiro has popped her cherry, Bafalapa nearly throws a fit, but he calms down and hopes Sarado is alright. As the soldiers throw a party outside the tent, Hiro tells Bafalapa that Sarado loves his heartbeat. At first, Bafalapa denies the possibility, but after examining Hiro's heartbeat, he tells him that his heart doesn't belong to him. Bafalapa reveals that it's fate that made Hiro meet Sarado, so like a father handing his daughter out in marriage. He tells Hiro to take good care of her. Hiro then explains that he can't leave the tent since Nambu has him trapped. Bafalapa then hands him a potion, telling Hiro to drink it and think of Sarado. Skeptical, Hiro thinks twice about gulping it, but Bafalapa urges him to drink it. The moment he takes it, his body glows, and he starts floating. Bafalapa then promises to meet Master Theo again. Confused, Hiro asks him what he's talking about, but he is instantly teleported to his friends. Surprised, they ask him what's going on, but he tells them to make a run for it and get away from the camp as far as possible. Moments later, Nambu enters the tent and sees Bafalapa tied to a chair. Once he learns Bafalapa frees him, he asks why, and the mad scientist tells him it's because of Sarado. Rather than Nambu ending his life, he vows to have Bafalapa work gruelingly for him for the rest of his life. Nambu then asks him if Hiro will stay with Sarado, if he realizes what she truly is. The squad gets to a cave where they decide to camp for a while. Eren takes a look around and tells them it's a former magic stone quarry where they had tried to increase output too quickly, which resulted in them running out of stone and abandoning it. Hiro then briefs the team about everything that happened up till his encounter with Bafalapa, who helped him escape. To their surprise, Sarado calls him her father, and it seems off because the old man is ugly. Jiru, on the other hand, seems pretty disturbed about the doctor's words since he wonders if Hiro's heart isn't his. He then recounts Zot protecting Hiro, and remembering that Hiro has the same symbol on the dragon's chest. In all, Jiru's hypothesis is that Barrow had switched Hiro's heart with Zot's, which was why it protected him back then. Again, there was the case of Hiro's partial transformation, where Hiro wiped out the soldiers, which could be said to have been caused by extreme rage and fear. Upon realizing that he can't carry out his revenge like he always wanted, Hiro storms off, frustrated. Jiru and Palupa immediately go after him, and Eren also tries to tag along, but Tamit stops her, telling her not to pry into personal matters like this. In Nambu's castle, Sharu pets a monster, which she reveals was a present Nambu gave her. She orders the pet to continue searching for Hiro, and immediately, flying eyeballs pop out from its body to do her bidding. Outside the abandoned quarry, Hiro sulks while crouching, so Palupa tries talking him out of it, but the boy doesn't reply. Seeing how difficult Hiro is, Palupa experiences nostalgia, so he informs Hiro of how he used to crouch and sulk when he was little. Palupa then reveals how Giru developed the habit of researching magic ever since Hiro's parents died. Back then, he would train Hiro with a sword in the day and research magic in the night, which was because he wanted to find out the truth regarding the incident. Presently, Giru apologizes for not finding anything so far, but he swears to Hiro that it's their duty to protect him. As if not listening to anything they said, Hiro gets all fired up and informs them of his stellar idea. He plans to get the Grand Troa and use it to switch back his heart so that he can enact vengeance on Zot. Hearing this makes Palupa feel like a complete idiot for trying to cheer him up in the first place. Moments later, the party continues its journey without Eren, who has run off to heaven knows where. Tamit then asks Hiro to show off his dragon form, but Hiro tells him it's not for show, and it isn't something he can voluntarily control. Meanwhile, one of the eyeballs Sharu sent in search for them finds them and watches from afar. Sharu, realizing that they've been found, talks about going after them, but her guard advises her against it, saying Nambu had told her to stay put. Still, she refuses and believes that if she can capture Hiro, Nambu will finally grant her access to his premium sausage. By evening, the party arrives at a deserted town, and they notice claw marks around it. Upon spotting a well, Giru has a flashback of his family being hanged there. Tamit then checks the well and finds it strange that it was attacked since it had long dried up. As the party checks the place out, Hiro sees his younger self crying for his parents. He then recalls how his parents were dragged by the ogres, who were angry at his father, a fellow ogre, for choosing to marry a human. They yelled at his father, calling him the reason why the humans attacked them. Giru's mother pleaded with them to spare her husband. She called herself the cause of their problems. The men agreed with her on the latter, insisting that she was a freak, but they refused to let her husband go. As the men prepared to hang them, Giru's father yelled at his son, telling him that a good hero never leaves a good deed undone. Presently, Tamit checks out one of the buildings, and he gets spooked after seeing a corpse. Suddenly, he hears a growl and sees a monster above. Giru, on the other hand, stares into space as he recalls how Lord Barrow found him and took him in, and it was how he got to meet Hiro, the Lord's offspring. Suddenly, Tamit runs towards them, telling them to run away from the village because he has found the monster responsible for its destruction. Suddenly, they see the hideous creature, which belongs to Nambu, charging right at them. Hiro instinctively tries to draw his sword, but he grabs nothing, and as usual, Giru saves him by parrying the monster. The others remind him that he's still recovering, but Giru insists on ending the creature's pain. As the monster dashes at him, he swings his blade at it, but it doesn't connect. Instead, he's kicked away. Tamit then clings onto their last option, Hiro, yelling at him to go into his dragon form. Hiro yells like he's about to go Super Saiyan, but nothing happens. The creature homes in on the loser, but Giru quickly cuts it just in time, sparing Hiro from being minced. Meanwhile, Eren, who has business with Nambu, meets with Sharu and easily convinces her to let her see Nambu. Her request is granted, so Eren privately reveals that Hiro has Zot's heart, which is why he can transform. Curious, Nambu asks her why she's telling him, so Eren informs him that she's an information broker. She demands her price, and he gives her an artifact called the Alshina. Nambu then tells Eren that he simply has to wait for Hiro to show up since he's after the Grand Troa. After Eren leaves, Nambu calls for Sharu and orders her to get rid of Hiro. Eren uses Mumu, the same transport service Palupa used earlier, and returns to the wilderness. She recalls overhearing Nambu's instructions through the relic to Sharu to take Hiro down. While looking at the post station ahead, she wonders what the next step is. Hiro and the others arrive at Rikonau, the big post station on the side of the road. It's a place where many roads intersect, which means they can get a lot of items there. Upon learning about the place, Hiro demands Giru find a blacksmith so he can get a new sword, but Giru tells him they have to first sell the reptile they caught earlier for cash. Palupa, who is against the idea of Hiro getting a sword, tells Hiro that they have a long way to go, so they must not exhaust their funds before they get to Nambu's lair, located at the land where wishes die. Hiro calls Palupa a miser and insists that he can't be cool if he doesn't have a sword. At this point, Tamit, who is already fed up with his repetitive bland act, whines about it, but Hiro believes he's cool. The party books an inn, and the ever-so-miserly Palupa minimizes their expenses. Later, Serato and Giru accompany Hiro to get his sword from the blacksmith. There, Hiro tries out big swords, but Giru tells them they are too large for him. He picks one slightly bigger than his older one, and Hiro gleefully accepts it. When they leave the blacksmith shop, Giru goes to shop for food items while Hiro and Serato walk behind him slowly. On the way, Serato spots a piece of jewelry shaped like the moon, so she stops to admire it. Upon seeing Serato with a guy, the jewelry seller then tries to take advantage of the moment by selling the piece at a very high price. Hiro, who doesn't know how to break it to Serato, stares in disbelief, but she notices his mood and tells him it's alright after all. He gave her a pretty pebble. Realizing that the couple is acting lovey-dovey with no chance of buying his goods, the jewelry seller shoos them. At the same time, Giru wraps up his shopping, so they all head for the inn. During that period, Eren visits the same blacksmith shop where Hiro had gotten his sword, and she sees an enchanted arrow. Even though the smith tells her he isn't giving her any discount, Eren buys 5 of the items. Later that night at the inn, Giru prepares dinner for them, and all but Serato happily dig into their meal. Tamit sees she hasn't touched hers, so he rudely asks for her food. Giru then starts a conversation, asking Hiro about the master Bafalapa had talked about, and Giru says he was Barrow's doctor. Palupa and Giru then wonder why Hiro has been tasked to meet Theo. To their surprise, Serato tells them she knows Theo, and he's her friend. Right on the spot, they all decide to look for him as soon as possible. As they leave for their rooms, Giru tells Tamit, who asks for their plans the following day, that he wants to take the day off. Tamit concludes that he's still recovering, but Giru tells him otherwise, and the reason he wants to take the day off is to strategize and figure out their next move. They head to their rooms, and shortly afterwards, Palupa and Tamit sleep off. Serato, who stays alone, stares at the gold coin Hiro had given her. As for Giru and Hiro, they also can't find sleep, so Hiro decides to ask him about why he acted weirdly at the ruined village. But Giru refuses to open up. Giru then asks him why he can't sleep. so Hiro tells him it's because there's a dragon inside of him. In the middle of the night, a mysterious shadow lurks around the town and attacks a cat. Minutes later, it moves around the town, destroying every building it touches. The explosions echo through the night, leaving Hiro and his crew outside wondering what the matter is. Hiro then charges into the town, so Giru runs after him. On getting there, they see a giant shadow absorbing the people and damaging buildings. Since it's the same way Zot makes its entrance, Hiro assumes it's his nemesis and charges at it, but Giru blocks his path. The Sword Master tries talking some sense into Hiro, but he ends up being caught by the shadow and sinks into it. Serato, who was warned not to follow them, disobeys after realizing the monster isn't Zot. With Giru's leg caught in the shadow, Shuru appears out of nowhere and reveals she's the mastermind behind the occurrence. The shadow monster was one of Bafalappa's creations after Nambu's orders, and it was used to bait Hiro. Meanwhile, Nambu has Bafalappa watch how the incident will proceed. He watches as Serato nearly gets wounded by exploding debris, but he's unable to do anything. Sharu finally gets her chance of revenge, so she points her thorn of spikes and tries using it to impale Hiro. But Hiro grabs it and resists with all his might. With no one able to help him, she successfully plunges it into his heart. Worried, Bafalappa cannot believe that Nambu is trying to stop Serato's future from coming to pass. He also realizes that Nambu eagerly wants to see how Zot will respond to its heart being poked. Immediately, the thorn sinks into Hiro, electrocutes him, and in the process he goes berserk. A giant red energy eloped the area, which terrifies Sharu, so she takes off and hides behind her subordinates. Giru, on the other hand, almost gets swallowed up by the shadow, but Eren helps him out by shooting one of the enchanted arrows at the shadow, causing the tendril to blow up. With him being freed, he dashes towards Hiro to stop him, but the boy, who's out of his mind, summons Zot. Blind with rage, he picks up his sword and cuts Giru down. The dragon then vanishes, leaving Hiro to see the aftermath of his anger. The rest of the team runs off to Giru, while Hiro breaks down and starts crying. The following day, Giru lies unconscious after he has been patched up at the inn. Hiro, who feels guilty for badly injuring him, is shocked when Giru wakes up. Upon seeing the Sword Master awake, the rest of the party are happy and relieved. Hiro then apologizes for cutting him, but Giru tells him it's fine, and it was because he had taken up his dragon form and lost control. Hiro asks Serato if she could heal Giru's wounds like she did his, but she tells him she can't. Troubled, Giru tells Hiro about how troublesome the dragon form was, and if he keeps using it, someday he might get stuck in that form, and perhaps then he would be a dragon and never return. Before going back to sleep, he tells them he hopes Theo knows something about it. Later, Paloopa tries to buy some medicine from Mumu, but her exorbitant price nearly causes him to join Giru in bed. He tries to haggle with her, but she tells him the ingredients used to produce the medicine are very rare and expensive, which is why the medicine can cure all kinds of wounds. Seeing that Mumu isn't ready to reduce her price, he dismisses her. Troubled, they consider taking him back to the healing springs in Linsacase, but change their mind because it's too far and they believe Giru would die before they reach there. Eren, an unexpected person, shows up and informs them where she can get the rare ingredients needed to produce the healing medicine. As Paloopa yells at her, wondering where the hell she's been, Hiro gets straight to the point, asking where he can find the medicine. She tells him Kiruru, a place that, if he's lucky enough, will cost him half a day. Immediately, Hiro bolts out of the inn, and Serato follows him. Irritated at Eren's laid-back attitude, Tamit tells her Giru is dying, and she replies that it's the reason she quickly showed up. In the lands where dreams die, Nambu receives a report about 2 out of the 3 countries spending a lot on acquiring his ammunition. Seeing that the 3rd country isn't ordering as much as he expects, he orders his underling to spread a rumor there about one of the other countries capturing Zot. With fragmented information, the 3rd country will panic and try to brace themselves for the dragon's wrath. Meanwhile, in a locked and heavily guarded room, Sharu pets her dog, telling it how worthless she feels because Nambu had pumped and dumped her. In the journey to find the rare ingredients, Hiro gets stressed, but Serato calms him, reassuring him that they'll find the medicine. Back in the inn, while Paloopa does their finances, Eren changes Giru's towel a lot, but Giru's fever doesn't come down. Worried, Tamit then asks Paloopa if he's aware that Serato doesn't eat and Sharu always knows where they are, as if someone is telling her. Although he doesn't have proof for his claim, Tamit reminds them that Bafalappa works for Nambu, and Serato has some connection to him. Paloopa catches on but tells Tomit that there's no proof, and the best they can do is wait for Giru to recover. Still not done, Tamit asks if they've seen Serato laugh because he sure as hell hasn't. Hiro and Serato eventually arrive at their destination. At first, Hiro tries to stop Serato from following him to the valleys because he isn't sure he can protect her, but she refuses, so he gives in. While searching for the herbs, they come across a giant horned toad. Quickly, Hiro draws out his blade and tries to protect Serato, but the toad leaps at them, so they run for it. As they try to lose its tail, they fall, and as if it can't get any worse, rain starts falling. Frustrated, Hiro laughs, but quickly gets up to look for the herbs. Upon spotting the herb, Serato points where it's at to him, so he dashes to climb the rock. Back at the inn, as they take tea, Eren tells them that Cheru receives orders from Nambu, and she heard when he asked Cheru to take Hiro out. Shocked, they wonder how she managed to get such info, so Eren shows them the Alshinga. Upon seeing the relic, Palupa immediately understands how it works and tells Tomit that the artifact lets people communicate no matter how far apart they are. Palupa then wonders why Nambu changed his mind from capturing Hiro to making sure he'd be dead. Eren, who also had the same thoughts, concludes that Nambu might have wanted to see the relationship between Hiro and Zot. Eren then explains why she had set up this important meeting. She briefs them on how Nambu has orchestrated his plans to lure Hiro to the land where wishes die, because he'll need the Grand Troa to avenge his parents. Lastly, Eren informs them that the three countries, Amoria, Ishelfine, and Van Lotus, are being told a rumor that a certain country has captured Zot. Not too surprised, Palupa remembers that Hiro had told them Nambu was a merchant whose ultimate goal was to profit from the chaos that he expected Zot to manifest. As Eren talks about the looming war, she advises them to find a way to reach Nambu's lair, otherwise the conflict will prevent them from going, and with Mumu being so expensive, it will be a huge hindrance. Hiro, meanwhile, latches onto the herb with all his strength as the giant glowing turtle starts walking. At one point he falls off the shell, but climbs back up. After a lot of pulls, he successfully uproots the herb. As he jubilates, the turtle stops and Hiro is thrown off. The next time he opens his eyes, he realizes Serato is carrying him like a princess. He tells her he's got the herb, and she replies, smiling, that she's got him. Shocked to see her smile, he points it out, and she smiles again to prove it isn't a fluke. Hours later, they return to the inn, and after Giru consumes the medicine, he is instantly healed. He wakes up and thanks Hiro and Serato for their hard work. Palupa then returns with dinner, but it's so bad that Giru decides he'll skip his. Tomit, who had been outside on a call, comes in looking depressed and informs them that the situation in his hometown isn't looking good because boys are no longer excluded from mining. Although his boys are fine, it's unfair. He asks Eren if there's going to be a war, and the news surprises Hiro and Giru. Determined, Tomit vows to get the Grand Troa. Seeing how moved he is, a tear streams down Serato's cheek. The next day, the party continues their journey to find Theo. On the way, Tomit tells Palupa that he no longer suspects Serato, seeing how she cried last night. After walking for a while, Giru informs Hiro of the mountain where Theo dwells. Skeptical, Hiro asks if they have to go, given the looming war, but Giru insists they do, since Hiro needs to learn to control his dragon form. Out of the blue, Theo floats down from above, asking why they've come to visit without bringing gifts. To their surprise, Giru and Palupa kneel before Theo and apologize before introducing themselves as Barrow's son's caretakers. Theo lets it slide, and as soon as he spots Serato, he goes to her, hugs her, rubs her head, and calls her his friend. Hiro, brimming with jealousy, is thrown off guard when he hears Serato casually speak to the old man. As the sage leads them to his mountain, they struggle to catch their breath due to how thin the air is. As they walk into the entrance, Theo recalls how his students always brought him gifts. Confused, Palupa asks him why Serato is not his friend, but he doesn't get a satisfactory answer. The adults immediately express their dislikes, but Palupa quickly cautions them, informing them that Theo is the most powerful magician on the continent. Inside, they brief Theo about Hiro's situation, so he shows them the imitation of the soul-destroying flames with the heat and fear turned to a minimum. After that, he explains what it is to them and how scary the original version is. After narrating what he heard about Zot's flames aftermath in Balbago, the sage says he doesn't have any advice for them regarding Hiro's case. Hiro first starts by speaking of his vengeance towards the dragon and how Zot's heart has made matters complicated. He then asks Theo why he didn't participate in the battle, believing that if he had, perhaps his parents might have lived. The sage then replies with whether one can stop a storm from blowing across the land. Hiro doesn't get the analogy at first, so Theo states that there's nothing that could have been done regarding Zot. The sage then tells Hiro to practice magic with him. Confused, Hiro calls himself a swordsman. Then Theo also calls himself a mage, thanks to Giru, who tells Hiro to obey because he might learn how to handle the dragon form. Hiro would have been stuck there with a huge question mark hovering over his head. As they are about to begin, Theo orders Giru to bring some meat, so he goes hunting. Similarly, he sends Tomit to get him some water, so Eren follows him to get a good look at the scenery. With a line drawn before Hiro, the sage asks Hiro to guess whether it's straight or crooked, so Hiro says it's twisty. He orders Hiro to take a step forward, and after Hiro does as he's told, the sage confirms that Hiro had walked straight forward. As if drunk with wine, the sage tells him that the path before Hiro is straight because man can only walk by taking one step at a time. Bewildered, Hiro wonders if the sage took the wrong kind of senzu beans, but Palupa eats up the whole training process. Next, Theo draws an image of Serato on a piece of paper, then he asks Hiro to guess who is on it. Hiro correctly guesses the person, and to his surprise, Theo tells him to crumble it. Right after doing that, the sage tells him to uncrumble it and crumble it again, somewhere else. Eren struggles to listen in on some conversations while using the artifact due to its bad reception, but she makes out a huge news item. The countries have started making preparations to go to war. After being amused, Theo tells Hiro to throw the piece of paper away. Serato, who had requested earlier to see the drawing, then asks again, so Hiro shows it to her. Seeing the two of them close by, Theo senses a connection. Hiro, who was tasked with hunting, successfully takes down a huge wolf and brings it back to the cave. Another time during training, Theo tells Hiro to pick a pebble and think of where he wants it to fall. After that, he should throw it there. Hiro does as he's told, and as the stone lands close to a nearby pebble, Theo senses some kind of magic energy. Then he asks Hiro if the pebble landed where he wanted, but Hiro denies it, as if whatever answer Hiro picks already has an answer. Theo tells him that it's not a problem because the place it falls on will be the place he decides. As if enlightened by such a word, Palupa engraves the same deep inside him. Frustrated, Hiro tells the sage that he can't keep up with his fooling, so Theo agrees and instructs Hiro to get his sword. Meanwhile, Sharu sulks in her room and doesn't listen to all the waffling from one of her subordinates, and she demands that she wants Nambu. Back on the mountain, Theo wields an invisible blade, which he demonstrates by using it to move an object farther from him. Impressed, Hiro appears fully interested, so Theo tells him the technique involves magic. After showing Hiro the stance to take, he tells Hiro to give it a trial. The boy draws his own invisible sword, but nothing happens, or so it seems. His attack nicks the object and cuts the rock right behind Theo. Time passes and Hiro continues his fake sword training and other peripherals. On one particular night, Theo discusses privately with Guru, noting that Hiro is useless with the sword. He immediately deciphers Guru's plan, believing that for the past 10 years, Hiro hadn't improved, and Guru couldn't tell what was wrong. He concludes, believing Guru must have forced the way of the sword on Hiro to prevent him from considering using magic. With that, Theo informs Guru of how Hiro has a rare talent for magic and a surprising amount of power that no normal human should be able to bear. The sage then tells Guru what had happened when Hiro tried to wield an invisible blade. Hiro, back then, had launched an attack that dodged the object it was sent to and pierced Theo without being conscious. But thanks to the geezer's defensive magic, it would have looked like he was playing pretend. Finally, he commends Guru for training Hiro in the way of the sword, because it helped Hiro avoid his destructive power. At the land where wishes die, Nambu eventually requests Sharu, so light returns to her eyes. On the training ground, Hiro finally loses his cool and decides he's quitting training. Just as he's about to walk away, Theo tells him to take the graduation exam, which involves launching an attack at him with the invisible blade. With nothing to lose, Hiro takes the exam and he draws his stance. Right after, Serato praises him, and Theo acts like he's been cut. Pissed, Hiro turns around, thinking everything was a sham till the very end, so he thanks Theo for his help so far. After the party leaves, Theo notes that Hiro has sent an attack so strong it broke his defensive barrier, and to top it off, Hiro only used a fraction of his powers. They arrive at the desert, which Eren calls the last place before they reach the land where wishes die. Eren shows them that it'll take a month for them to go around the desert, so Hiro, who has run out of patience, charges through. As a result, he trips, and a huge bird tries to attack him out of the blue. Thankfully, Guru parries it off, and Tamit brings up the topic of how Nambu knows exactly where they are. Suddenly, they hear Nambu's voice on the Alshina, trying to confirm if Eren is still on the call with him. That's when it dawns on them that she's the snitch. Seconds later, Eren picks up her device while Palupa pressures her to speak, and she admits that she is an information broker, a term that means nothing to Palupa, who only wants to know if she sold them out. When Guru confronts her, Eren confesses that she did and even made money from it, which makes him furious, though he controls his anger enough to spare her life. With her betrayal exposed, Hiro and the rest of the team abandon her in the desert, leaving her to navigate alone even though she knows the shortest route to Nambu's location. Back at Nambu's domain, Sharu prepares to merge with her pet, following the same process humans had used with the orcs days earlier. A guard pleads with her not to go through with it, but she dismisses his concerns, saying that as long as she gets to do Nambu's wishes, she's fine. She instructs the doctor to begin the procedure, leaving him in shock. Meanwhile, Hiro and his team trudge through the scorching desert, and although the heat clearly bothers him, he presses on, aware that their journey cannot stop. Elsewhere, one of the continent's countries prepares for war, convinced that the other two have united to use Zot against them. As night falls, Hiro, Palupa, and the others gather around a campfire to keep warm, leaving Tamit to marvel at how the desert can be sweltering by day and freezing by night. The next day, another country on the continent prepares for war, convinced that the other two have allied to use Zot against them. Later on, Hiro grows increasingly thirsty, while Palupa tries to reach a vantage point but falls into a sand pit where a crab-like monster waits at the bottom. Hiro and the others struggle to pull him out, but their efforts fail until Eren arrives at the last moment. She tosses a stick tied to a rope for him to grab. As soon as he latches onto it, they pull Palupa out, saving him from the monster. Despite rescuing him, the rest of them do not open up to her, and they tell her not to talk to them. Still, Eren warns them that continuing in their current direction could mean death for all of them. Elsewhere, the third country also prepares for war after their king confirms that their enemies have joined forces. Back in the desert, a sudden sandstorm scatters the team across the dunes. When Palupa gets up, he finds Eren with him, which enrages him even more after everything that has happened. Eren tells him it's best they head for an oasis, but he asks about the others. Already used to her laid-back attitude, Palupa assumes Eren doesn't care about others and that she is very self-centered. Hiro, meanwhile, discovers Tamit lying unconscious and wonders where Hiro might be, while Hiro and Serato search desperately for an oasis to quench their thirst as the desert stretches endlessly around them. At sunset, Palupa walks with Eren to a certain point and tries to catch his breath, so she offers to help him with his bag. Adamant, he calls her a blabbermouth and vows not to let her touch his things. Eren then explains that she simply sells information to people who buy it at a high price, and it was thanks to that she managed to get close to Nambu. She reveals that she was planning on grabbing the Grand Troa when she had a chance, but the crazy merchant saw through her. Palupa, who can barely make out what Eren is saying, collapses from intense dehydration. Meanwhile, Hiro shivers that night due to the extreme cold of the desert, which has Serato very worried. The following morning, Palupa sees an insect gathering water droplets, and he tries to mimic it. But Eren bursts his bubble by telling him that it's only possible due to their low body temperature. With that, he continues his journey with Eren, while Hiro remains lying down, too weak from thirst to move. Seeing this, Serato senses the water in the atmosphere. Moments later, Juru, carrying Tamit on his back, catches up with Palupa and Eren. Eren tells him she's heading for the oasis, and although skeptical, he decides to follow her since her life on the line. Serato removes her plot armor, and thanks to her very low body temperature, she does the legendary Corolla pose and, in a short time, accumulates water drops before delivering them to Hiro, who immediately awakens. Little do they know that Nambu's watchbird is observing them. After walking for a while, Palupa and the others arrive at the oasis. With the little strength they have left, they dive into it and feel refreshed. By midday, Hiro and Serato resume their journey to rejoin the team, but Sharu, who had spotted them earlier through the bird, shows up in her new mutated body. She easily knocks Serato to the ground and teleports with Hiro straight to Nambu's lair. Hours later, soldiers from all three countries gather at key points, preparing for war, and it becomes clear that Nambu's plan is succeeding. As the continent teeters on the brink of conflict, weak and seated in a chair, Hiro watches as Nambu enters the room, fully aware that Hiro possesses Zot's heart, making him a valuable asset for his schemes. Nambu intends to unleash disaster across the continent to achieve his goals, but Hiro refuses to accept it. And with determination, he takes up his sword to face Nambu in battle. As usual, Nambu teases Hiro by saying he should go easy on him. Their battle begins and ends almost instantly, with Nambu clearly more skilled, holding his sword to Hiro's neck, almost mirroring their earlier fight in the wilderness. Nambuko then speaks of the night when Lord Barrow tried to defeat Zot, revealing he was the one who had shot Lord Barrow in the back, preventing him from successfully erecting a barrier around Zot. The realization sets in, and Hiro's anger erupts towards Nambu, and he notes that the merchant isn't just someone he must stop, but a person he must enact vengeance upon. Still on the topic, Nambu reveals that he survived Zot's flames only because he protected himself with the Grand Troa, and at that moment, he had admired the flames and craved them. In the present, Nambu makes it clear that he has no intention of killing Hiro because he needs Hiro's heart to control Zot. Elsewhere, Juru, Palupa, and Tamit search desperately for Hiro, and Eren uses her device to track his possible direction. As they cover some distance, they see Serato banging a large metal object. At first, Palupa thinks the heat has gotten to her, but Yuri notes that the high-pitched sound she's making will lure a dragon. Speaking of the devil, a massive red dragon shows up and swoops down at her like it wants to devour her. When the red dragon shows up, it stuffs Serato in its big mouth, leaving Yuru and the others in shock. Yet after some time, Serato comes out unharmed and tells the team that the dragon has agreed to give them a lift. By now, Yuru holds a weapon, ready to strike the dragon, but since the dragon is friendly, he lowers it after hearing Serato speak. Palupa then recalls how she casually pulled up in a sand dragon when they first met. After assuring them that the lizard won't bite, everyone hops on it, and they soon set off, clinging to the hideous creature as it soars through the air. Back at Nambu's domain, Dr. Bafalapa prepares a massive magical reactor to power Nambu's plans, knowing that the amount of energy required will consume the building, yet seeing it as a necessary sacrifice to obtain Zot. Meanwhile, the sensors detect movement on the radar, revealing that Guru and the others have arrived at Nambu's domain, but as they approach, the red dragon is struck while in midair. Even so, Guru and the team hide within the building's walls, searching for a way inside. During their search, the doctor appears seeking Serato, and once he finds her, he begins teleportation magic, though Guru and the others join him before he leaves. While in the building, the doctor's excitement at seeing Serato again becomes obvious, and the way he behaves makes Palupa and the others realize that he is her father. Guru, however, finds it hard to believe that the doctor could father someone as beautiful as Serato, which prompts Palupa to ask her what she truly is. She responds that she was made at Nambu's orders, and the doctor confirms this, adding that Serato is a doll he created, leaving Palupa and the others completely shocked. Even after all that, Palupa grows curious and questions why Serato was created. The doctor gives them a history lesson on what happened in the past. He explains that Nambu was present when Lord Barrow attempted to defeat Zot. As he speaks, Guru objects, pointing out that he is the only one who survived that incident with Hero, but the doctor interrupts him, saying that Nambu survived by using a dragon blood crystal. According to him, the said crystal is made from the blood that drips from Zot's wounds and protects one from the soul-destroying flames emitted by Zot. He continues to reveal that he was tasked with creating the ultimate soldier using these crystals, and after completing the task, Nambu had ordered that Serato be destroyed because of her beauty, yet he refused and allowed her to escape instead. At one point, Guru points out that Hero possesses Zot's heart. Upon hearing this, the doctor realizes why Serato was drawn to Hero's heart, since she has none of her own. Yet, he still wishes for Serato to leave Hero alone because Nambu is close to summoning Zot and will want to use her during the hour of the ultimate dragon, the moment when Zot appears. Serato, however, declines her father's wishes and sets off to find Hero, determined to act on her own. After Serato leaves, the doctor begs Guru, Palupa, and the others to take care of her because she is his daughter. After that, both Guru and Palupa wander deeper into the building, searching for Hero, and at some point, they come across the large magical reactor and wonder what it could be. Suddenly, Nambu appears with Sharu, who holds a blade to Hero's neck, intending to take Serato and use her alongside Hero to achieve his plans. Because Hero's life is at risk, Serato reluctantly agrees to join Nambu, and after meeting him, Sharu teleports them both to Balbago, the same place where Lord Barrow died. Seconds later, Sharu is attacked by Guru, but she laughs, knowing that Nambu is gone. At Balbago, the hour of the ultimate dragon approaches, and the sun turns red. While Sharu explains that Nambu intends to use the remaining magic from his domain to fuse all the soldiers from the different countries, which leaves Guru stunned because it means a far greater evil will be born into the world. Within seconds, the entire building begins to close itself up as the magic flows toward Balbago. Right after it seals, a message from Nambu appears, declaring that everyone inside will have their souls turned into magic. Everyone is shocked after hearing the message because they never anticipated such a move, but Sharu finds it hard to believe that Nambu, who she's been simping on for years, would leave her for dead. When she attempts to teleport away from the building, she fails because of a disruptive spell and screams in frustration. At Balbago, the doctor opposes Nambu because Serato's life is at risk, but Nambu lands a powerful attack on him, leaving him in critical condition. He then uses compulsion magic to bend Serato to his will and lightly stabs her in the chest, forcing her to revert to an attack mode. While under Nambu's spell, she attacks Hero the moment she receives his order and continues to land brutal strikes on him. Back at Nambu's domain, the building gradually collapses as its energy is absorbed to fuel his plan, and Guru comes up with an idea that leads Palupa to summon Mumu for help. At first, Mumu claims she cannot assist, but after Palupa and the others contribute a massive amount of money as payment, she agrees to help. Afterward, Guru tells Sharu that she will carry them to Balbago once they escape, and she accepts on the condition that Guru will leave Nambu for her to handle. Miles away, Hero, who has already taken significant damage from Serato, morphs into his dragon form and dives to attack her, but at the same time, Guru emerges from a portal with the others and yells his name. After Sharu arrives at Balbago, she attacks Guru, and it becomes clear that she is under Nambu's control, while Hero launches several attacks on Serato, trying to strike her but failing to deal any damage. Serato fights back, following Nambu's orders, and inflicts heavy damage on Hero, eventually striking him in a way that puts Dagon Zot's heart at risk, causing the dragon to reveal himself, which excites Nambu and drives him to jumpstart a massive machine. Once the machine goes live, he grabs the Grand Troa and activates it to fuse with Dagon Zot, an act that defies his original plan, which leaves Guru and the others in shock. Sharu tries to stop him, but she gets blown away by the magic force. Although the fusion consumes an enormous amount of magical energy, it succeeds in the end. After becoming one with the dragon, Nambu proves nearly invincible, and Hero attacks Kiss, but fails to harm him. Instead, he gets mollyhopped mercilessly. Amid the pain, Hero recalls what his parents had told him when he was young, reminding him of the task he still needs to fulfill, and with that memory, he regains his composure mid-air and frees himself from Nambu's grip. Though as soon as he lands on the ground, Nambu seizes him again and continues to beat him without mercy, calling him weak. In the meantime, Tamit and Eren seize the doctor and threaten him to do something about Nambu, and the doctor points toward the Grand Troa, explaining that if it is taken away, Nambu will lose his supply of magic. Sarado wakes up and sees Nambu folding Hiro like laundry. Eren then heads off with Tamit to deactivate the device to prevent Nambu from using the soul-consuming flames, but they are running out of time and are at risk of death if they fail to shut it down. At last, Eren and the others manage to shut down the device and take the Grand Troa, and it stops Nambu from waffling about the fusion's success. Unfortunately for them, he does not lose his powers and instead threatens to annihilate Giru and the others with the soul-consuming flames. He fires the deadly flames on them all, which not only destroys their surroundings, but also affects the soldiers beneath them. Witnessing the obliteration, he laughs at the level of the flames, but to his utmost surprise, he sees that they are all fine, which is due to Sarado's powers. Quickly, he rips out the Dragonblood crystal from her chest while saying it was a mistake to leave her with it. Since the crystal powers her body, she falls unconscious to the ground after he takes it away, and Sarado's unresponsive condition drives Hiro into a rage. Nambu, who isn't ready to risk any chances, responds by shattering the crystal. Immediately, Hiro screams, and in his fury, he slices off Nambu's arm. He then yells at Nambu, vowing the latter will pay for not only his parents' death, but also Sarado's. Shocked that Hiro's attack worked on him, Nambu asks Hiro who he is, and for the first time in a while, Hiro calls himself a wandering swordsman. Right after, Hiro uses all his strength to land a powerful attack on him, stabbing him in the process. As Nambu falls to the ground, his form collapses. In tears, runs to pick Sarado, but she doesn't respond. While mourning her, Daiden Zot reappears from beneath, and Hiro, who realizes that he doesn't have the power to take on his nemesis, begins to consider unaliving himself in order to unalive Daiden Zot, since he possesses the dragon's heart. Just before stabbing himself, Hiro recalls the invisible sword technique taught to him by Theo, so he yells at Tamit to pass him the Grand Troa. Once he obtains the treasure, he takes the same sword stance and summons a glowing blade from it. He then lands a devastating strike on Daiden Zot's chest, ripping it open for his human heart to come out. Jiru tells him to switch the hearts quickly, and Hiro considers it, but then, he takes the heart from Daiden Zot and inserts it into Sarado, bringing her back to life. Watching the love of his life stare back at him, Hiro smiles and the dragon fades away, and his passing restores the atmosphere to its natural state. Meanwhile, Palupa and the others struggle over who will claim the Grand Troa, but the device falls and shatters on the ground, and Giru reveals that he always knew the device was not the Grand Troa, but rather Lord Barrow's sealing device. Confused, the others ask Giru how Hiro had used magic, and Jiru informs them of the time when Theo said Hiro has a very high magic aptitude. The boy weeps joyfully upon confirming that Sarado is alive, but quickly cleans his face while trying to act normal. Eren then teases him, saying he's the hero who saved the world. Sarato immediately asks for Bafalapa, and regretfully, Paluba hands her his stick before revealing that he has risked his life to save her. Hearing of his death makes Sarato cry, which once again proves her humanity. As for the soldiers from the 3 countries, they turn back and return to their homelands, realizing that fighting further is pointless. Soon, Mumu appears, excited that Palupa and the others survived, yet she immediately demands the rest of her payment. At the same time, some soldiers encounter Sherisharu, and one of them, clearly relieved that she is safe, compliments her appearance, which stops her from crying. The following day, Hiro gifts Tamit his dragon crest, and when Tamit mentions returning to Linsakais, Palupa interrupts, pointing out that they don't have any money to fund the trip. Meanwhile, Hiro is eager and hyped to train with his sword alongside Jiru, ready to continue sharpening his skills. That's the end of today's video. If you stayed until now, comment down below Sweet Milkers and leave a like if you want another recap like this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out the next video. It might just be your new favorite anime recap.